Check. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Letting him the comfy chair. We're missing a mic.
JJ's mic is not working. Here, why don't you trade with me?
Good, we're glad.
Thank you. Mark the Animal Mendoza.
Hey, everybody. Kevin DeBro. No.
And Sarah Jessica Parker. We get closer every day in appearance. Sadly, Sarah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here at Spooky Empire, and I think this is amazing because we are celebrating the 35th anniversary of Stay Hungry, and this is so incredible to have you guys reunited right here in Tampa. And I want to know if you guys have a favorite memory looking back, maybe recording the album or on tour.
Wow. That's a
Could you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah.
8 million things.
Is there anything happened in that amazing period in your life that you remember? Yeah, I mean, so many amazing things happened in that period of our lives. So recording, I mean, if just I always go with the first thing that flashes in my head. And I don't know what your guys would be, but I grew up on Long Island. Mark grew up on Long Island. We played in the tri-state New York area, and as a kid, I went to concerts at a place called the Nassau Coliseum, and a place where I had historically the worst tickets in the fucking world that I bought from a scalper. And he told me they were great seats, and I asked out a really hot chick who never would have gone out with me, but I had excellent seats, and they were the top row at the fucking back of the arena. That was the worst day of my life. But that said, that was the place where I went to see shows, and when we got our first gold album for Stay Hungry, it was presented at the Nassau Coliseum in front of all the people that had seen us play for years in the place where I had gone to concerts my whole life. So to me, that was immediately into mind as my greatest memory of that time. What are you guys?
Well, we started in New York, and we finished in LA. That's my best memory of it.
When we started, well, first of all, a whole bunch of producers turned us down before Orman came on, so that was their loss. So a bunch of producers turned us down. But We started in New York, and if I'm not mistaken, what was it, the record? I keep forgetting, was it the Hit Factory or the record? One of the two. Was it the Hit Factory or the record plant?
It was a record plant, right? Record plant in New York, and record plant.
No, record
right.
plant.
We started in New York.
Record plant.
While we were doing the basic tracks in New York for Burn in Hell, there was a fire in the studio. And that's when they decided to move to the West Coast. So it just happened to coincidentally be during the basic tracks.
The coincidence?
Burn in Hell. And then we got to LA. And I remember they sent some guy in, Warman sent some guy in, this guy Andy Brower, Mr. Amplifier.
Right.
Who was going to teach us how the West Coast, because we're an East Coast band, you know, and this was all these West Coasters, they're going to teach us how to record metal. And he brought in those Dumbo amplifiers, and we thought they sucked, and we threw them out, and we made them bring our Marshalls in from freaking Long Island, all right? They brought our Marshall amps from New York.
You know, it reminds me of the part when you're talking about Burning Hell and there was a fire. Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, you have to join
We
the
threw
I
women in.
I can't remember her name, but she was recording in the next room, and because we were so loud, there was a little hallway that connected the two studios, and they put up the packing blankets, and they put it over the light bulb above the exit sign, and it started the blankets on fire. So AJ's doing his drum parts, and there's smoke coming out from under the door. So I walk over to look at it, I open up the door, and there's flames. So I grab the packing blankets, right, and run through the studio out to the street, burn all the hair off of my arms. And the recording studio didn't even say anything to me. The fire department comes, and I said, well, the fire's here. But they gotta go inside and look and drape they ripped the ceiling down and everything. It's already done, I took care of it, you guys can go home.
Fire Marshal Mark Animal Mendoza, everybody.
Thank you. And we're all still here.
And band security.
And then, of course, we did an amazing 18-year tour with Iron Maiden. to stay. How many of you saw the Maiden Twisted tour at all during the? That was all over the place. Canada. That was an amazing. That was an amazing tour. It's actually.
And with Rat, and with Dokken, and with YT, we were with Lita. We were with Lita Ford.
Right. So.
Oh, Lita Ford's story. Check it out. Okay. Don't tell Lita I tell you this story.
Oh yeah.
So Mark knows where I'm going with this. So. All right. So. Mark Animal played with a band called the Dictators.
Dictators, everybody remember the Dictators?
Legendary punk band.
There you go.
Seminal punk band. And CBGBs, you know, that movie in CBGBs, only mentioned Dictators, that was just such a disgrace the way they treated Dictators in that movie. But, so they toured with the Runaways. When the Runaways were the Runaways, the Dictators were the Dictators. And Mark hadn't seen Lita since touring with the Dictators and with the Runaways. And the first day we're touring together, Lita arrives, and I'm talking to Lita, and Mark walks in, and I go, hey, remember this guy? And she goes, did we bone?
So either it's a bad memory or not
And
that
at
good.
that point, the word bone was not a thing. So I'm like, bone? She goes, you know, fuck. And Mark goes, no, we toured together. She goes, oh. And I said, wait a minute, no offense. I said, you don't remember everybody you fucked? She said, not everybody.
And then she
Don't
came
tell her
over.
I told that story.
Then she came over to me and said, sorry. I said, it's okay. I remember you running around naked. She said, I did? Yeah, you were naked all the time in every hotel.
So since Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister Rat, that whole period, Motley were all playing around, all the time. And this is what happened recently. Someone walked up to me and goes, man, JJ, I'm your biggest fan, man. I love your band. No, you don't understand. I'm the biggest fan. I love your song, Come Feel the Noise. And I go, wrong band. And then you tell me, they go, oh, oops, I'm so sorry. But didn't you say Kevin DeBro?
Oh, yeah.
Heard that all the time?
I'm sorry, guys. I've cursed you all because Kevin DeBro, may he rest in peace, like Kevin DeBro, we were talking one day, he goes, listen, he kind of confides in me, like, dude to dude, he goes, he said, people are always coming up to me and going, I love your song, Rap Will Take It. He goes, does it happen to you? And in the dick move, I go,
all the time.
no. And then Kevin gets really embarrassed, goes, oh, and he's like really embarrassed because he's sure. And it had never happened to me. From that moment on, the man struck me, cursed me for that bullshit. I remember sitting at a hockey game when it put me on the Jumbotron. And come on, feel it! Everyone's cheering.
This is the indignity of being a heavy metal star.
This is amazing. My next question for y'all is one thing I always hear about the band is that it took you about 10 years to become an overnight success. And I want to know, what was the driving force behind staying together as a band and still driving and wanting the goal, the ultimate goal?
Lack of money.
Lack of money. Well, there's a certain degree of truth in that. Because, I mean, you know, and there are a lot of reasons for staying together. And you're referencing We Are Twisted Fucking Sister, the documentary. I don't know if anybody's seen it, about the 10 years the band existed before the videos at MTV. People thought we came, it was an overnight sensation. The band had been together in one form or another for 10 fucking years. And when Eddie says money, it was like, what else are we gonna do? That was one thing. I mean, we were driven, we were persevering, but the idea of stopping, what would we do?
That wasn't an option.
Get a day job? Well, we did have this luxury, which bands today don't have, because when bands come up to me and they go, give me some advice, and I said, I really can't give you advice, because when Twisted Sister started, gasoline was 23 cents a gallon. Richard Nixon was president. McDonald's had only sold 1 million hamburgers. Fred Flintstone and Barney just got married, you know, so you know, we were lucky. We came from a circuit in the tri-state New York area that was extremely popular and lucrative, and so we continued to develop as a band, and we were making, you know, a really good living playing locally within a 50-mile radius of Manhattan. And by the way,
you know, in my book, Jay, I just a point of interest. I did, and all you guys, I did calculate. We were like a top club band, and you were at a top club band those days could make like $1,000 cash a week. This is the 70s. Okay, now we reinvested, and we did, it's the truth, we took the money and we reinvested in demos and things like that, but I did the math, that was like making $375,000 a year today. So you got a 20-something-year-old kid walking around with $375,000 in their pocket. They were buying Mercedes, Corvettes, houses. You were living like a rock star in a microcosm in the tri-state area. We did not.
No, we kept our salaries super low, and we kept reinvesting year after year. And of course, as every rejection, as we describe in the movie, we were turned down more times than a bedsheet in a whorehouse. But we have come back more times than Freddy fucking Krueger. That's the truth, baby. But the fans, I mean, let's be real. Two things. We were able to sustain ourselves because we're making money, and the fans kept supporting us. Even when the record labels said, screw you, we could play 5 nights a week to a minimum of 1,000 fans a night, up to 5,000 in bars. Cover bands playing cover bars in the tri-state area.
So you got a rejection notice in the daytime, and you went, and there was 1,000 screaming teenagers. And well, who knows better, this suit in this towering New York City, or the people who were lined up to see a band without an album and losing their fucking minds every night. So that kept us going through thick and thin, so thank you.
And we outlived the naysayers. We outlived the naysayers, and every record label that turned us down over the time, I've run into these executives, they all go, I always knew you were going to make it, man. We just couldn't, you know, they wouldn't let me do it. Bullshit. You know, fuck you, you're a bunch of liars, man. It was like Babe, like that guy from Detroit who said to me in France, I love you, Babe. I dig it, Babe. I'm signing you, babe. He gave me a record deal on a 3x5 card. I'd gone back to New York. I said, we got a deal from this Career Records, that's Saxon's record label. And the guy never returned our call, Babe. Never returned a fax, Babe. Never returned a telex, Babe. And 4 years later, we're playing a gig on a TV show in Europe with his artist. And this guy, the artist was this French singer, and his wife comes in, he goes, excuse me, do you have a guitar pick for my husband? He needs a pick. I said, what label's your husband on? She goes, Career Records. Oh, I know, he turned you down. What a stupid man. I saw him in the hallway. I said, hey, babe, fuck you, babe.
He was French?
Freddie Cannon, career record.
Was he French? I don't know.
No, he was from Detroit, babe. But he ran the label. And he was so full of crap. But, we kind of got used to rejection.
So before we get to questions from the audience, I know you already mentioned Lita Ford, but I was wondering if you guys have any other crazy tour stories about maybe another act that you toured with that maybe have like a bad reputation, or any crazy stories about another act that you toured with?
Okay, when it comes to crazy, JJ and I are going to step out and leave it to Eddie and Mark.
Eddie's the bet. Eddie
Arm wrestled Eddie Van Halen. Okay, so
Arm wrestle. In it was a name show, one of the first name shows in what's that? New Orleans. It's the first time I actually met Eddie, and got to hang out with him. Of course, we were both pretty hammered at the time, so I don't think he remembers. I remember. Actually, I forgot till you reminded me.
I want to know who challenged who.
I don't know. It just.
What about when we challenged Dave Murray and Iron Maiden in a drinking contest?
Oh,
I at the Long Beach Arena, and Iron Maiden almost didn't play.
Wait. This is our drinking champion over here. Many have tried to stand up against Eddie Ojeda. Many have died. Pete Way from UFO, who's a heroin addict, sent Eddie home, said, I've had enough, I can't deal with him. Lenny Kilmister, may rest in peace, said no mas to Eddie Ojeda.
After 3 days, he called us and said, come get Eddie.
Come get Eddie.
To be honest, Eddie is our designated liver.
And
Eddie
Dave Murray had the audacity to challenge Eddie Fingers Ojeda to a drinking contest.
Well, on day 3 of a 4-night gig at the Long Beach Arena, Iron Maiden, those guys who are so short they look like extras on Game of Thrones, okay? So these guys challenge us. So you don't drink. Well, we actually do have somebody who occasionally has a drink.
We didn't drink, but...
Well, me and Dave went out that night.
He never came back.
We ended up leaning the side of the bus because we kept leaning around and walking around the side of the bus. And finally, somebody took us to our rooms and we tried to play Jimmy Henson, Foxy Lady.
Well, wait, can I just say this? Let me tell you, here's what happened. We get to the arena the next day for a sound check. Eddie comes in for the sound check, and he has that look on his face, that kind of like Doonesbury, like curious look. And I said, how did it go last time, you and Murray? He said, I don't think Dave's gonna make it. And I said, you don't think Dave's gonna make what? He goes, I don't think he's gonna make the gig. I said, I think he's dead. And they had to like break into his hotel room and wake him up and like stick.
He was unconscious.
And my man Eddie really stuck up for the band.
Represented Twisted Sister.
The ambassador of goodwill for Twisted Sister. Eddie Ojeda.
If you remember, Dave came in with that elephant nose on.
He had elephant nose?
Me and AJ did the sound check with Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. AJ had to do this.
Yeah. Of course, I didn't. AJ did a lot better than I did. I was a bit hungover, and actually Dave was trying to teach me Flight of the Icarus, but neither one of us remembered it.
Well, you're not in the band, you're not expected to know this song.
It was fun. It was a fun night.
You know, it is amazing though that it is 35 years ago this year that it's 35 years for that album. I mean, let's give Stay Hungry a round of applause. And in case you don't know, and you should know, if you want to like have pride in Twisted Sister, you should just know this fact that We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock are the 2 most licensed songs in the history of heavy metal for more TV shows, movies, soundtracks, and commercials, more than songs by Kiss, Def Leppard, AC/DC, and by the way, all great bands, not taking anything away from them. But we are the creators, Dee wrote, the 2 most famous songs in the history of heavy metal licensed around the world. And We're Not Gonna Take It is the #1 protest song in the world. And that, they can never take away from us.
I'd like to say something in defense of some of our advertising choices. There was a woman's premenopausal medication they use. We're not going to take it. I will say, that my initial reaction to the offer when the call came in was, are you fucking kidding me? A woman's premenopausal medication. We're not gonna take it. This is our art. This is our, how much? So now my brain is fucking racing. I go, what does this thing do? And it was Phil Carson who called me and goes, well, he starts running down a list and I hear, prevents women's vaginal dryness. I was like, whoa, wait a second, I'm against that. As a matter of fact, I think we did God's work. Show of hands, who here is against vaginal dryness? Please. Oh, look, the young girl's got her hand down. Give it a few years, honey. You're blowing dust out of your bush. We'll be begging for that shit. Just say thank you to you, James.
Well, on behalf of all women, thank you guys so much for...
This is a true story. It really happened. It's really happened.
Well, on that note, if you guys don't mind, we're going to transition and take some questions from the audience. So, all right, what you got?
Hey, I went for Dee Snider.
Yeah.
So how was it working in the movie Sharknado?
Strangeland?
Sharknado.
Sharknado! Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay. Sharknado. Yes, I was in Sharknado, I'm sorry. I remember I was doing a horror convention when Sharknado 2 had come out, and my booth was next to their booth, and Anthony, the director-writer, leaned over and said, hey, Dee, and I said, no. No. And he said, I didn't ask yet. I said, I know what you're going to ask. Fucking no. Cut the Sharknado 6, I'm wearing a cowboy hat, and I'm in Romania. And it's an experience. I think James Wan put it best when he said, not James Wan, James Wong, sorry. We were sitting next to each other at the premiere of Sharknado 6, and we're in the theater, and then the movie starts, and 10 minutes in, James starts and goes, this is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I said, you didn't know what a Sharknado movie was when you signed on. So it was fun. Bottom line, wherever you are, it was fun. And me and Anthony are actually working on another movie idea, not a Sharknado, just this, a serious movie actually. Okay?
So just remember, we're against vaginal dryness and we're Sharknado. These are two high points culturally you should keep in mind.
How much was the magic words?
He also used it to Noriega out of the Noriega when he was
The United States government, when
Yeah.
we were trying to get Noriega out of the embassy in Cuba,
It's true.
they played "We're Not Going to Take It" to scare him out of the embassy.
It worked.
So our music was used by the United States government to defend the United States of America. But you know, they drag Dee in front of Congress. They say we're the worst things in the world. 10 years later, they use our songs to beat up our enemies. And then, by the way, in 2003, when the band got together, one of the proudest moments we did, besides reuniting to raise money for the New York City Police and Fire Department's Widows and Orphans Fund following 9/11, which is why we got back together. We went to Korea and we did a 2-week tour for our troops. And that was one of the greatest things we've ever done.
All right, what's your question?
This is for the whole band, because I asked you this a couple years ago, but I want to hear the whole band's answer too. And when MTV first got on the air, one of the very, very first commercials they ever showed was a clip from You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. It was like a clip where the guy's trying to drown out the thing, his earphones explode. When that commercial first appeared, it was like, and it's one of the first commercials. What did you guys think that, this new station called MTV is showing a bit more like one of our first videos, or the first videos ever? So when you guys saw that, what was your big thoughts when it came on the air?
That's why MTV picked us up, because people were calling about that commercial with the Moon Man, right? I think. And then,
That
Can't Stop
definitely,
Rock and Roll.
it was the first bit of attention we got at MTV, and there was definitely a lot of, who are those guys? Because they weren't playing the Can't Stop Rock and Roll video. We weren't really known in the States. That was the first. You remember anything about it?
Not a thing. And he drank.
I'll tell you though, when we were making the video, the budget was like nothing. right? It was nothing. I mean, literally, when I say we signed a deal, that was like amongst the worst record deals in the world. I can't get you. But we were making that video, and we had to get up at 4 and 5 in the morning, and we're freezing in that vacant lot in England, and they put us in that van. And when the van is racing down the street, a spark almost blew up the van.
Yeah, I was driving the van and the gas, we hit a bump and the gas tank fell out. So now it's leaking gas all over the place, and they said, well, you guys got to get out of the van before it explodes.
That could have been the end of Twist.
So they thought it was going to be the end of the video because we don't have another van. I said, just get me a plastic gas can, I'll ring it up right to the carburetor and we'll get going. And it was a half hour later and we were back in the van with a can of gasoline next to us. Dripping right in the carburetor.
And that's when men were men and cars were cars.
And I could fix anything.
That van was a real piece of shit.
That bagel sucked that they gave us. Remember they spit out that roll?
Oh, that's AJ did that.
We got Master Blaster over there. What's good? You too.
Hey, so I'm a big fan. This kid's a super fan. He's been listening to you guys since he was 2 years old. He knows all the lyrics, all the videos, everything. So with all your iconic videos, he really does want to know what your favorite video was to make with all the videos you guys have.
At home or no?
No. Hold on. Get much.
No, on the road, Eddie. On the road.
Can we put Eddie's home video up on the screen?
Hold his ears now.
Very much.
I guess that rock and roll was pretty exciting because we almost died. So that's bring back like, wow, that was almost the beginning and the end.
For me, the We're Not Gonna Take It, the later videos, as a group, I got to see it was like movie making on a smaller scale. So we had stuntmen on there, and it was very involved. So it got me, exposed me, and made me want to be a screenplay writer, and led me to write Strangeland, and I'm writing a bunch of things now, and I've been pursuing a career as a writer, and it all started with doing those videos, seeing things brought to life like that. So they were exciting. There's a lot of money spent in those days in those videos. A lot of fucking money. Which we paid for. We wound up paying for everything ultimately. But, when it first started doing like We're Not Gonna Take It, that's an easy one to say. It was the first time we sort of stepped into that world of big money, big budget, big production, and it was definitely, for me, an excitement to experiencing that. Hashtag good parenting, by the way.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper was just in here for the last panel, and he talked about when he first met you, he was kind of taken back by the big makeup and everything. So I'm curious if it was like an interaction where you both kind of said in your head, who's this weirdo? Like you both had the same reaction. What was your reaction to Alice?
No, Alice, and for all of us, really, you're one of our heroes. His poster hung on my wall over my bed. To call him, I know you saw his earliest shows.
Many early shows
with the original band
in the early 70s,
yeah.
and the late 60s.
To call him friend is just insane. It still blows my mind that we are friends, But I remember, as a matter of fact, I was just talking to Cheryl about the first time we met, Cheryl and Suzette and myself. It was down in Florida, and I was doing a photo shoot for a bunch of calendar shots. Have you ever seen any weird ones of me as Uncle Sam, or me as a leprechaun, or me as a Santa? They were all done in this one insane photo shoot. And Alice was there. And I'm in the room putting my makeup on, and when Alice walks in, he goes, ah! Pointing and laughing at me. And I said, what the fuck are you laughing at? This is because of you! It kind of blows my mind that he says he was taken aback by all the makeup.
He made a face, like he jumped back and made a face.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty funny, but he's to blame.
I just want to also add that the evolution of the band's image because we get lumped in with this whole California hair thing, you know, that's just because journalists are lazy and they'll just lump it in. We had nothing really to do. We existed in this little island, you know, like in the New York area, completely disconnected from all this other stuff. When Dee joined the band, we had already gone through a glam phase with previous singers, and I was now singing lead, and you know, I really can't sing, which is why God created Lou Reed and Bob Dylan, so I can do cover material. And my agent said, you know, you need to get a lead singer who can cover Led Zeppelin. So we got Dee, but Dee came in and he goes, wow, you guys have gone off the makeup and, you know, kind of looking like Velvet Underground. Like we had like a different vibe, and he says, I'm a big Alice Cooper fan, and I want to get back into that shock rock. Remember, there was no glam rock at that point. This is 76, 77, the whole glam thing had ended. It was over. So we were kind of like in this no man's land. He came in and he said, let's do this, and then it piggybacked from Alice Cooper to Rocky Horror, because that happened just at the same time, and that's how we kind of moved the image. And then of course, you know, the good things go like this in the music industry, up and down, waves go, and then finally 82, 83, the whole glam thing comes in and we get sucked into that. But we really were more of a shock. It was much more of a shock. As Dee's famous, what's your line about how we looked? We looked like someone's grandmother. What was it?
Oh, no, was it the aging drag queen thing? We look like, no, I can't remember which line we talking about.
The bad thing is we look like someone's grandmother. We've always looked like someone's grandmother or something like that.
Yeah, we look like Asian drag queens, but we always look like Asian drag queens.
Yeah,
that was the thing. But speaking of Rocky Horror, any Rocky Horror fans here? Well, when that thing started, and you hear the legends of the Rocky Horror Show starting at the midnight shows at the A Street Theater. Well, me and JJ were there in Suzette on a Saturday night, and there was like 10 people in the place. And then we came back to the band, and the band was very inspired by it, affected my makeup, and we started covering Sweet Transvestite. We started turning more and more people onto it, and we were really at the forefront of that movement. And if you ever watch a documentary on the history of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they're out there, you'll see the first Rocky Horror Show convention at the Calderon Concert Hall, and it says, with Twisted Sister. This is before we were signed. So we were, you know, we were definitely connected. That Rocky Horror was a huge inspiration to the band. It sort of sent us to the next level there. So, you, sir, you're welcome.
My question is for JJ. I read somewhere you had a brief encounter with Gene and Paul in the 70s before they formed Kiss. Is there any truth to that?
You know, I get asked this all the time. I'm writing my book right now, and I set the record straight in the book. This was such a non-issue, but it was turned into some stupid issue a long time ago. I was asked by a guy at Circus Magazine in 1984, hey man, you ever played in any other band? I said, well, I kind of auditioned for this band that became Kiss. They were Wicked Lester, and it became, JJ was in Kiss. And that was like everywhere. JJ did Kiss, you know, and I went, oh man. And then Gene and Paul, well, JJ says he's in Kiss. He was never in Kiss. What kind of an idiot? I never said it. It was kind of a thing where in my building in New York City, there was a lawyer who represented a producer that produced Wicked Lester. And I used to babysit for his kid. And one day in the elevator, he said, are you playing a band? And I said, I'm looking for a band. He goes, well, I got these guys. They're in a band called Wicked Lester, looking for a guitar player. And he gave me Gene's number. And I called Gene, and he goes, hey man, can I see you play? And I said, sure. And he came down to watch me play with a band called Scout at a church in the village. And I walked up to them, and they introduced themselves to me, and we spoke for a while, and then I kind of hung out with them for a couple of weeks. And then they didn't call back. And I said, okay, I wasn't good enough or whatever. But they had told me that the band was going to change from a band they were like Looking Glass. They had that song, Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. They handed me the Wicked Lester album, which was horrible. And they said, we're going to have Marshall amplifiers, and we're going to go British, and we're going to change our names to English names. And then I didn't hear from them. And that was it. I joined an Allman Brothers cover band after that.
You're leaving out the best part of the story.
Well, should I? Okay.
I'm going to remind you.
I will. So Gene walks up to me. Okay.
And he has JJ wore John Lennon-style glasses at that time.
I was saving it for the book, Mr. Snyder, but now that you've exposed it, I'll tell you. So I walk up to Gene, and he goes, hey, what's your last name? I said, Segal. He goes, too Jewish. I said, what? He says, my name is Gene Klein. I'm changing my name. This is Stanley Eisen. He's changing his name. I'm changing my name, Gene Klein, to Gene Simmons. He's changing Paul Stanley. He goes, take your glasses off. Why? You look too Jewish. This is what he kept saying to me. And I never had anybody say I looked too Jewish, sounded too Jewish. This was like alien shit to me. Like he was obsessed with this thing. He was totally obsessed.
Kyle Klitsch doesn't know Jews.
Yeah, he was totally obsessed with the de-Jewing of his band. And I just went, okay. Now you could say, well, J.J. French is not John Segal, which is true. I de-Jewed myself from my own ultimately and created the character that I am, which is J.J. French, but that was what they said. Bottom line was, I didn't get into the band, I wasn't good enough. A couple of months later, they hired Ace, they invited me to the Loft. I saw them as Kiss for the very first time. They played their entire album for me and a friend of mine. They were amazing. They were phenomenal, they had no makeup on yet, and I looked at them and I said, that's the kind of band you could tell that they had it kind of together then. That's the story. I just wasn't good enough to
But they were too Jewish.
But they were too Jewish. But Schneider, you're not too Jewish. You're not Jewish, are you, Schneider?
But I am in the book Jews Who Rock. Apparently, I have an Eastern European name and a big nose, and you're a Jew, so God bless.
Gene Simmons is like the most Jewish-looking person I've ever seen.
Okay, next question.
We only have about 10 minutes left, so we only have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Okay, cool. Nice to meet you, gentlemen, by the way. I've been a fan since Pee-wee's Big Adventure, since I was like 2 years old. But my question is for Mark Mendoza.
Is he here? Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the Stay Hungry album, what was your gear setup?
On the Stay Hungry recording the album?
Yes,
or playing live?
in the studio.
In the studio? I don't know, what was it? No, I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you. No, it actually was, I used a Music Man bass, and I used an Ampeg SVT, and a Marshall cabinet for distortion.
Oh, cool.
Lots of compression.
Thank you.
Wow.
The crowd's riveted.
There we go. I hope everybody's happy here and now.
No questions about bass gear.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
We're good, how are you?
How we doing?
Good, buddy.
You guys ready for this question?
You're about the Falkland Islands?
The Falkland Islands.
My question is, what did you do with my cousin Rocco in 1985?
What?
In Brooklyn, my cousin Rocco disappeared with you guys, came back 2 days later and was never the same.
I remember it vaguely. Did he party with Eddie? He partied with Eddie.
Talking about on the road crew?
You talking about the road crew guy, Rocco, who was Tony's
Rocco, my cousin Rocco. I'm Joey.
That was your brother, Rocco?
My cousin Rocco.
He almost got fucking killed by Phil Basile one time. He told the guy that financed Lufthansa Heist to go fuck himself, and he almost died.